Hey everyone, it's Nelson Miller here at PA Creative. Welcome back this week for another video, but this week it's not so much a tutorial, but instead it's one of the biggest, most important announcements or sneak peeks that I could ever make. So I am recording this in February 2022. So more than likely, this video is going to become outdated fairly fast. So please give me some grace on that. And hey, you can always follow up and see what happened with what I'm about to tell you. Like I said, this is one of the most important things I've ever said, probably the most important thing I've ever shared on my blog to date. So let's get started. I am talking today about the past, present, and most importantly, the future of Divi. So if you know anything about me, you know that I love Divi and I have built my entire business around it, like many of you have as well. So I'm very passionate and excited about it. And let me just tell you, it's going to get so much better. Please stick through this video. I'm going to do a lot of talking. If you need to put me on, 2 times speed or, keep working and just listen, that's totally fine. There's not going to be much to look at. Let's get started here. If you do want to read, you can certainly go over to the blog post. I do this every time I do a video here on YouTube. I always have, a written blog post, and everything that I'm going to say is going to be pretty close to what I have written. So I'm going to be kind of looking at it and sort of reading and sort of changing as I go along here. But let's start. I'm actually going to read this disclaimer so that I get it right. So let's just read this disclaimer, and hopefully this builds some excitement as well. I do not work for Elegant Themes. I hope that's clear. I am a third party. I'm a totally separate company. I just happen to use their product, and I happen to be a big fan and enthusiast, okay? Consider the information that I'm about to tell you reliable. But I am not an official source. I am not an official spokesman. My sources include information gathered from public statements from owner Nick Roach, design director Kenny Singh, and senior development manager Josh Ronk. That was all from public information, okay? Things like there's on Divi Chat, episode 200 and 204. You should check those out. Facebook group posts, comments, little hints here and there, Slack, different places, okay? But everything is public that I'm about to share. I know I'm not reading it now. But my point is, there's actually a lot more that I know that I'm not allowed to share. I am only sharing what has been public. I'm rewording it in my own words to help explain it a lot of times. So you have to understand that as well. So let's keep going. A small percentage of the future features section in this post is based on a combination of this existing public information combined with my own knowledge of the company, experience with the product, and a few educated assumptions. There is a lot more that I know which is not written due to the fact that the information has been shared privately and has not been shared publicly by Elegant Themes yet. So it would be unprofessional for me to share without their consent. Again, everything here is reliable, but not official, and obviously anything could change. All right, let's get started. So we're talking about the past, present, and future of Divi, right? So I honestly can't tell you how excited I am about the future. You'll soon find out. And there's going to be some of you who are like, oh, I want to believe that. I want to believe Nelson that he has some information here and cling to it, right? And then there's going to be some of you who are just going to doubt. And, that's just the way it is. But I believe a large majority of you are going to be like, yes, you're going to just cling on to what I'm saying, okay? So yeah, basically there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of questions. We have Gutenberg and we have competitors, and what's going to happen to page builders? What's going to happen to Divi? Are they still developing? Do they still exist? All these questions, I'm going to answer that, okay? Let's keep going. To the past. Now, this section I'm going to talk about the past. If you feel like skipping it, you can, but I don't think you should. You're going to understand where they're at now and where they're going by looking at the past. Think about how they started, and I don't know if you know this or not, but Elegant Themes, you would think that they would be called Divi. Divi, the company, Divi. No, they're called Elegant Themes. Why? Because, They started as a theme company back when WordPress was all about, releasing a new theme every month, that kind of thing. That's exactly what they did. It's not Elegant Theme Divi, it's themes plural. They started as a company that was making themes, and they were they had released 88 themes, believe it or not, and they had a membership. And when they decided to build the 89th Divi, they were like, hey, let's build a theme that you can customize a lot of stuff in the theme. Brilliant, right? And that was where that idea was born for what we now know as page builders. So Divi started as another theme, that 89th, and it was not what we know today as a builder and a framework. But they did envision, let's have a blog module. Let's have a portfolio module. They envisioned things like that, could be moved around in their theme, but they never envisioned that we would have, thousands of settings within each of those modules. Do you understand that? They envisioned the movable parts, but they never envisioned that you could just do everything that we have come to expect today, okay? So that was the foundation. And they became the number one theme in the world, WordPress theme. And, there's a lot of people, you can't say that. And what about Elementor and all these other ones? Well, I'm saying theme, not page builder. Elementor is a plugin, so it's a different category, kind of. We know it's the same, but it's kind of different too. But I don't know how you can say this, if Divi's still number one or not, but they have been at some point, so, okay. You can check that. But it's because of their incredible features. And you know what? Click on this link, Divi feature updates. And just think, when I'm recording this in February, just think, more WooCommerce modules, the icons, the front-end editor, conditions. The conditions update is incredible. The performance update was absolutely groundbreaking. Like, literally, that was extreme. Global collars, and then this one was the inside the visual builder, responsive previews, sticky options for everything. The presets was a big thing. The layers view, we have the marketplace and the fixed sticky headers, obviously 4.0. And, we can just keep going back through. So let's not forget that. Divi is incredible, and they've been releasing incredible features. Now we get to the present, right? Because we really went through that quick. Again, I am publishing this, is February 15th when I'm publishing this. So it's going to change, so please be gracious. Now, why has Divi been so successful? I come up with three things. It's a commitment from Elegant Themes to continually improve and innovate and invest in the future. It's that huge third-party ecosystem that I'm a part of. It's really fun being a part of that. The customers make it all worthwhile. It's incredible, and Divi encourages that, and that's really, really nice. It's very unique. There's no other competitor to Divi that is doing this, and that's really unique, and I think it's really helpful. And then there's the Divi user community. Look at all the Facebook groups with thousands of people in them. Just how friendly it usually is, and helpful. But then you're saying, well, what happened? Right now it feels like Divi is releasing a few updates and they're kind of surface level. Oh, more icons, okay. Right? That's how it feels right now at the time of this recording. Do you realize why? I'm going to tell you why. There's really, really good reasons for it. Let me just look at my notes here. It may seem like Elegant Themes is taking really long to release updates. This was not always the case, and it's certainly not going to always be the case, but right now, it's fair to say that that's true. In fact, they would admit it. And you may have other questions. Why are there so many features missing? Why don't we have an alignment here, and why don't we have, styling options in the blog for the read more button? We could make a very long list of questions like that. Seriously, let's admit it. There are reasons. It's called technical debt. That's one reason. It is the reason. It can be frustrating. Why don't they have this? And, it creates opportunities, obviously, for third parties, but at the same time, you want everyone to benefit, okay, including users. So what is this technical debt thing? Continue to think that how the origin story was, right? They were building this theme that had modules that could be moved around. I want you to seriously think about how that has changed. That's incredible. The fact that they've been able to add all the features that they have added is incredible. Kenny Singh on the Divi chat episode used a boat analogy. I don't even know if he was trying it, but I started thinking about it. I was like, that's really good. And I'm adding on to what he had started with that boat analogy. Think of Divi as this boat. Now, and the way I put it, imagine Divi as a boat in a race. There are other boats too, and everyone wants to take the most people along to the other side. Like, think of users, So it needs to be fast. You got to get the most people over in the race. But you got to be safe. I mean, you don't want all those users. Sorry, the analogy. You want to get there first. Divi was one of the first boats that launched out to sea. And people were hopping on board left and right from other boats. And the analogy, It's a good analogy. Follow it through. And it was just sailing, right? More and more people started getting on board. More and more people. And they started adding more and more features to the boat to accommodate more feature requests. And you know what happened? The foundation of that boat, when it launched, was not prepared for that. Had no idea that that was going to happen. So they kept building and they kept adding more and more and they kept getting more users and people demanded more and more things. And you know what happens with a boat when it gets really full of people? And you know where this is going. It begins to sink, doesn't it? That means you have a problem. And you know what? Elegant Themes knows this. They've known this for a couple of years. They've seen it coming, but you know what? What could you do? You may not understand it, but I do. And I'll try to explain it. But imagine that you are on that boat and say you're in charge of the boat. You're the captain. What would you do? You're like, oh, we need a bigger boat. It doesn't work that way. You can't just be out in the ocean and be like, we need a bigger boat. Yeah, good idea. Let's switch boats. You have a boat. You got to make the boat that you have bigger. You got to make the existing boat be modified and retrofitted without sinking. Ugh. How in the world would you do that? How would you take the boat that you have and expand it without sinking? But it needs to happen or else you're just going to sink anyway. That's the exact predicament Divi faced a few years ago, and they realized that. All right, so they realized they were stuck. To continue moving forward, even if they were adding little features, they had to draw a line. They had to draw a line in the sand. Does that fit the analogy? But you know what I mean. They had to stop. Now, sure, they could add a few more features here and there, but they kind of took a stubborn stance to it and said, no, we're going to add different feature updates. And the way they've done it, they're the type, if you really think about the feature updates they released, they're not specifically core, they're more surface level. And I know that's confusing, but while they're working on the foundation, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. So they knew that the cycle would be continuing like this. And if you even think of like how cars are designed, like you might go buy a new car in 2022 and you're like, well, this technology is a little old. Well, that's because it's been sitting there for 2 years, on a lot, and it's been designed 2 years before that in 2018, and now it's a 4-year-old technology. And that's the exact problem Divi faced. They would always be behind like that because they would always have to be, retrofitting and making things work. All right, so anyways, keep going here. People keep crying for more features. Divi knew, they recognized that it was not possible, and if they kept doing it even a little, it was going to hurt everyone. It was going to hurt everyone. The competition soared past. If we're still doing the boat thing, competition's going past. Their boats are big and fast, and Divi's kind of here. Now, they did make their boat faster. We've got to give credit to that. Divi became fast, all right? They did an incredible job with that. It was a huge task. But it's still not the right type of boat for the situation. And it's a challenge that you have. Divi was the market leader, first to market, right? So all the other competitors could look at Divi a few years later and say, look what they did wrong. We're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to do this, and we'll go right past them. And that's what they did, unfortunately. It's nobody's fault. It's just, it's just the way it worked. You also have to understand that technology changed a lot during this cycle. Look at how WordPress changed. Look at how websites changed. Look at how your smartphone barely existed at that point, and then now to what it is now. Technology changed incredibly. It would be like, is a good analogy is like, let's take the first iPhone or the first Samsung or whatever, and try to put our newest operating system on that phone. Do you understand what Divi's facing now? Does that make sense? So yeah, it's the situation. It's not hopeless, but it was about to be. But they're taking action. This next part is going to blow you away. Okay, you ready? Here we go. First of all, Divi is not going away. I hope that was obvious. I actually wasn't sure for a little. What are they going to do? We're going to talk about Gutenberg and all that other stuff, but let's stay focused here. It's not going away. Everything's under control. They are self-aware of the problem. They are fixing the problem. They are overcoming the problem, and they are coming out much better. And like I said, they're self-aware, and they're self-aware to the point that they're willing to make the change, and they're also capable of making the change. It's just a lot of work. And for that, we need to be very thankful. We need to thank them for that willingness and for being capable. That's incredible. Let's jump right into the versioning. We have a lot of thinking in terms of versioning with software. The first number is the big number, and that's the big update, and that's how my plugins work. It's how Divi generally works. So we have 3.0 was the visual builder change. Then we had 3.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. And then we had 4.0, and that was, the theme builder, just expanding the whole thing. And that was 4.0, and then we had 4. And we're still on that at this current point right now. And so, everyone's always thinking, what's 5.0? What's 5.0? What's 5.0? It's coming, but there's a lot that has to happen before that. There's the transition. The transition period is happening in 4. After we cross 5, when we get to 5.0, the transition period will be over. I'm pretty sure on that. Again, I don't work for Elegant Themes, but the way I understand it, the transition period would be over by the time we reach 5.0, and it would be essentially a new product at that point. So what's going on here? We talk about big updates. A lot of times there's an evolution of a product, but every now and then there's like a rewriting. Like 3.0, when the Visual Builder came out, it was like a whole new thing. 4.0 was not a whole new thing, but it was a great addition. 5.0 will be a whole new thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like it's another 1.0 of a different product, but yet it's a continuation of the old. I know that doesn't make sense, but that's what's happening. So let's talk about this foundation update. Some of the most exciting things coming from a developer perspective is this, the core component of what makes the Divi builder. And they're releasing their own Divi API that's going to actually rebuild the Divi builder from the ground up. And some of the goals for this, some of the factors that come into play here, is to make sure that the Divi builder's foundation is obviously solid, but also future-proof. They're making it so that they're well prepared for the future. Okay, and this is actually going to change everything. It's going to allow them to scale, and the performance is just going to be it's going to skyrocket. It's going to be incredible. And I'm referring to the Visual Builder itself and the front end. It's going to both improve. and then the user interface and stuff too. But anyway, so there's not going to be any more shortcodes. And so if you don't know, Divi actually runs on shortcodes, unlike a lot of the competitors, because they were first out to sea, you might say. They were first out of the gate. Technology changed within that time, and Divi continued to use shortcodes just because that's, you kind of had to. A shortcode is taking the data from the database and displaying it on the front end, in simple terms. So it's got to continually call for that data back and forth, instead of having it right there on the page like Gutenberg and some of the other ones. So basically what's happening is that Divi is transitioning into the same format that Gutenberg uses, where they're no longer shortcodes, and it's going to be converted. It's going to be incredible. Because of that, there's actually going to be a degree of compatibility with WordPress. Now, I'm not saying that Divi is going to become blocked. Do not misquote me. That's not going to happen. But there will be this tightness. What's the right way to say that? But anyway, integration. We'll just stick with that. It's something that they're hoping to achieve, let's say 100%. Let's say they're 90% sure that they can do it, what they have planned. And it's going to be crazy. So they're looking ahead. They're embracing the WordPress API as they're building their Divi API. A lot of that's technical, and if you don't understand it, it's fine. Just think of that the whole foundation is being rebuilt a lot better. Okay? Now, the other part that goes along with that, right now, as third parties, we try to build modules, and we build them with those shortcodes as well, and we try to extend it. Like I just released the Divi contact form helper plugin, where I'm adding tons of settings to the existing module. And I have my other plugins like the carousel maker, where I kind of hack the builder and make a carousel out of any modules, right? But in the future, it's going to be even easier. It's going to take still hard work, but it's going to be, in a sense, easier to tap into the builder. Right now, we kind of have to hack it, to be honest. And in the future, it's going to be much more seamless, because there's this thing called the third-party API, where basically we're going to be able to build Divi modules the same way Divi's built, right? So if it's built the same, then they would fit together. Does that make sense? So Divi's building it with their Divi API, we're building it the same, and there's going to be a level of integration. Now, there's obviously going to be some core things that we can't get into, but that's obvious. But the point is, it's going to be a lot better for us. Now, here's another thing. We're going to have to rebuild our modules. We're going to need some grace from the third-party community. There's going to be a lot of support issues and a lot of things like that coming, but there's going to be delays. There's going to be a lack of new features for a while, lack of new plugins for a while, till everyone transitions. I am asking you, I'll be the first to say it, give everyone grace, not just myself, my own company, but all the others as well. There's going to be a learning period. There's going to be a transition period for us, as well as Elegant Themes. We're going to have to rebuild our modules. Sure, the modules that we rebuild will be better, but it's going to take work. It's going to take a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of time that we wanted to build other things for you. So bear with us. Give us some grace. Do everything you can to support the community as well. But in saying all that, it's going to be smooth. I don't want you to worry. Please don't take what I'm saying as something to be afraid of. Things are not going to just break. There's going to be a smooth transition. That's a high priority, very high priority. It's going to be flawless. That's a big statement. And it's going to be backwards compatible, at least for a while. I don't know if that'll always be, but at least for a while, there's going to be backwards compatibility. Think of it as like really simple terms. Divi's running on shortcodes, and now they're not. So there's like this thing that like allows our module to keep working on shortcodes. And right now, will that be optimal? No. Is that the best? No. It will be best to switch. It will be best to rebuild, but thankfully there will be some time in there that we can do that. So we talked a lot about this foundation change. From what I understand, again, I don't work for Elegant Themes. From what I understand, there will be some kind of user interface change, although it kind of makes sense. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. That's going to be more 5.0. Remember how I mentioned that this like foundation thing is going to still be like in 4 point something. And then once we reach 5.0, then it's kind of like a new product, okay? So think of that transition and then we land on 5.0. So that's where we would expect to start seeing different, maybe the settings will move around, that kind of thing. We'll talk about that. All right, let's talk about things we do know. And again, this comes from public statements from like Nick and Kenny on like Divi chat and on Facebook and Slack and other places. Things that are on as public, right? Like a global styling framework. And that's, again, this is my own terminology. But if you really think about it, stop and think about what the gradual progression of Divi's efficiency tools in the builder. Remember when we got copy and paste? Remember when we got find and replace? Remember when we got global collars and presets and extend styles? Remember that? Extend styles. Do you see how like those 5 things are like a progression? Now we're going to have global site-wide presets, essentially. Whatever the terminology will be, I don't know, but isn't that neat? You know, it's kind of like we've been asking for it, and I know when I did my preset review and my global collars review, I was just like, what's going on? But it makes sense that they had to wait. They just had to wait. And we're going to get it. Don't worry. You'll be able to change all your heading fonts and all the modules on every page just like that. All the colors just like that. Right? Okay? It's going to be really awesome. And their actual goal, I couldn't believe they said this, but their goal is to eliminate the need for CSS completely. Completely. Now, I use CSS a lot. A lot of my tutorials use CSS. Can you imagine not needing that? Being able to do everything with the Divi builder. I'm not so sure I will leave them, but I love that ambition. There's always going to be a need for CSS, custom code, and JavaScript and jQuery. Don't worry, there's going to always be that need. But it's just interesting to think that that's their vision. And everything in the builder, you may have heard me talk about some of this before. It's been several years ago. I remember Nick saying something about like the idea is that everything's in the builder. Why should you be going back to the theme options? Why should you be jumping in the customizer? Why should you be going to your I can't even say it, child theme. It's after midnight. Why should you be out of the builder and then back in? And so everything inside the builder, that's going to be the vision. So expect that. I don't know how quickly that will happen exactly, but think about it. The customizer is going away in WordPress itself. The customizer I've barely used. I don't even know when the last time I went into customizer. I guess the favicon and I don't even know what else I use that for. Okay, because we have the theme builder. So expect that to just go away. And you know what? Good riddance. Please don't cry. I kind of feel the same way about the theme options. I'm not sure. I don't have information on that, but I feel like why not that too? Why not put all that? Because we kind of have the settings, and we're gonna have new settings, and I'm predicting it. You tell me. You come back and comment on my video once they do or do not do something. Keep me accountable here. Another thing I'm predicting is a code editor right inside the builder. Like I said, right now we get back to theme options. I'm predicting like a window of the CSS and actually some other code as well. So I'm expecting that, predicting that. Okay, answering the cry for more responsive breakpoints. I have a plugin, the Divi Responsive Helper. One of the things I get asked all the time is, can we add more breakpoints? And you know what? We could in a way, but we really can't. We would have to majorly hack the builder. You know what? As much as I would love to say, hey, look at this feature we made, it would be a hack, and it would be incredible how much work it would take and how much support it would take. It would not be worth it for me. Unless we have some investors out there. We're just going to wait. Divi is going to completely change what you think of as responsive. Now, let me back up. Don't blame responsiveness on Divi. Divi is responsive right now. I hate when people act like I've completely messed up the mobile. Yeah, you've done it. It's your fault. You did it. Divi is responsive by default. Yeah, I said that with a straight face. Sure, it would be nice to adjust for, for iPads. Okay, great. But when you start doing that and technology changes, and you know what, you're gonna go back to 100 or 300 sites and change your breakpoint when technology changes? I don't think so, because you're gonna have 1,000 different users with different devices. Responsiveness is not tied to a breakpoint. We have to stop thinking that. But needless to say, there's a great outcry and people don't understand that. So, let's add 10,000 breakpoints. No. They're working on a system. Kenny talked about some of that in the video. I don't know all the details in that, but it's going to be well thought through, and I can kind of have some ideas how it'll work, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, it's going to get a lot better. Another big cry is columns, just columns in general, like in a row, So our plugin obviously helps solve that as well. We can set the number of columns and change the order. I expect at some point that feature in my plugin will be depreciated because of Divi releasing their update. So they're working on something. So if you think about it, Flex is a little old. Grid is really kind of the standard in a way. But why not mix the two? That's from what Kenny said. So it's like, yeah, let's do that. So we're going to have like this flexible grid system. Yeah, it's going to be cool. I have here reorganized modal settings. So now when you click, you open a text module and there's the content, design, advanced, and then inside there's all the toggles. I expect that to change. I'm just going to put it out there. Come back and tell me if I was right or wrong. I expect that to change. No, you're not completely. I'm not crazy, but I expect that to be rethought. Okay? There's also a commitment to standardized terminology. Like I just said modal. You might have said window. You may have said panel or pop-up or settings, right? Because nobody really knows. So they are committed to like narrowing that down. I mean, think about just making documentation. When I was making my courses for Divi, it was like, what do I call this? I just make something up, right? And they're going to standardize that. So that's kind of cool. Here I have extra. Think back to how Divi started 89th theme. Do you know what the 90th theme was going to be? You guessed it, extra. They were like, well, why don't just stop and think about what they were going to do. We're going to build Divi this month, and it's going to have this modular system. We can move the blog here and a blurb here. Cool. Oh, and next comes extra. Cool. We can do the same thing. We can move the category here, and we can move a text module here. Great. And then comes the 91st and the 92nd, right? But they stopped once they saw Divi taking off. Do you understand why we have extra? We have extra because there was going to be a lot more of themes like that. And extra got just there. It was just there. And it was like, it's been there ever since. How did Kenny say that? They're going to address that, basically. So we'll wait and see. Anyway, Divi Cloud, just the other week, last week, Nick started mentioning this in the Facebook group. So, he put it out there. Hey, how do we handle, the layouts that we make? How do we want them stored? And it was like, how do we want them stored, in our account? And he confirmed on the one comment, at least, that, yeah, the Divi Cloud is coming. And, it makes total sense. Why not? Why wouldn't there be a Divi Cloud coming where you go log into your Elegant Themes members area and you can look at the layouts that you've made or the ones you really like or your presets, your sections. So that's coming. That's exciting. I actually know a whole lot more, but I can't tell you. Oh my goodness, I know so much more. That's gonna be phase 1 of phases. Several. Anyway, I'm not gonna break a trust here. I did not ask for permission. Maybe I would have had permission to tell you, but I did not ask. And that's fine because, hey, let's have some surprises. There's going to be more phases of Divi Cloud. Okay. Oh, Gutenberg. Oh, page builders. Do they exist anymore? I want to tell you a story. We're almost done. It was 2020. I found out that one of the developers at Elegant Themes is my neighbor. He lives like 10 minutes away from me. I live in the middle of nowhere. I live in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And I found out that one of the development team, I think his term is just developer, but anyway. And I was like, this is incredible. So we met up and we had lunch and we just talked Divi and we just geeked out Divi. And one of the things I asked him, I was like, so what are you guys, thinking about, like, Gutenberg and stuff? And remember, this is 2 years ago. And his reply, I will never forget. It kind of startled me, and I don't know why it hit me that way, but I was just like, yeah. His reply to me was very short. He said, why can't we have both? And I'm just like, oh, right? Like, we've had that for years. We've had WordPress, and then we've had themes, and we've had all these builders competing. You get to choose. I mean, good grief, what's the one that's still around? The bakery page builder thing, whatever that's called, and Visual Composer, and we still have them around. We can certainly have Divi around. Let's be real here. Divi is way better than most of the competitors, in my opinion. The user interface is by far better, in my opinion. Other ones have better tools, I know, and more tools, but just wait. But when he said, why can't we have both? I'm just like, that's brilliant. Anyway. And you know what? WordPress and Divi can continue to cooperate. They can continue to integrate and actually drive each other. But Divi's going to surpass Gutenberg. Okay. It's not going to take much, okay? So my advice, continue to use the tools you love. Continue to use Divi. Don't be like, well, I better start learning Gutenberg because, my job's going to be out if I don't, Divi's going to drop off somewhere. No, that's not going to happen. No, you can expand your portfolio, whatever. But I'm just saying, don't freak out. Don't jump ship uneducated. Be educated. Listen to what I'm saying and just keep using the tools that you're using and expect them to get a lot better. Yeah, it's pretty much that simple. Now, I'm saying all this, and let's just remember who we're dealing with here. Elegant Themes. They are a trustworthy team. Their leadership is very well done. If you look at how, Nick, he's very business savvy. He's forward thinking. I mean, he's been thinking far forward for a long time. Sure, he can be sarcastic, but he's like me. I could out sarcastic. It would be fun to have who can be more sarcastic, me or Nick. That would be fun. If you're listening, I put it out there. That'd be fun. No, but I actually trust him. It's like there was a time where I was like, is Divi gonna kind of just fade away? And I'm being honest with you, I wasn't sure. And it's because where that ship was transitioning. I wasn't sure what was happening. You're probably not sure what's happening right now. You weren't aware of a lot of what I'm saying. I was about, like I said in the post here, I was 37% worried. Now I'm 2% worried. I say not even 2%. So do you understand where I'm at? Like, I'm a product creator. My job depends on Divi. I was getting worried. I can look you in the face and say, I am not the least bit worried anymore. Now, I've got to continue to innovate and think because I know Divi's going to keep taking away my features, but I already have so many ideas and things planned that it's going to be impossible to catch me. Just like Divi can get ahead of WordPress, I can get ahead of Divi. So anyway, I'm teasing you there. So let's be patient. I want to say this very clearly at the end here. Do not go and bug Elegant Themes about what I'm saying. If you want to say anything, say, we support you, we thank you, we salute you, we applaud you. What's the word when you're trying to like motivate, we're cheering you on. We can't wait for what's coming, and we're going to be patient and wait for it because we know you're working as hard as you possibly can. And it's extremely, imagine that boat. Imagine, you're out there and you've got to rebuild your boat somehow without sinking, and you got to reconfigure it. Did I mention that there's millions of websites running Divi right now? Millions of people in this boat, and you don't want them all to sink just to rebuild and get new ones. That would be stupid. You'd break the internet. I mean, mixing my metaphors here. They can't do that. They've got to transition and somehow do it. It's impossible, but yet they're doing it. So keep preparing. Right now would be a time to prepare yourself, get everything else in order so that when some of these features start landing, you can like dive in and spend a couple of days learning, and you're not worried. So what I'm saying is prepare, get your ducks in a row so that when these things start landing, you can just dive in and absorb everything that they have and learn them, and then you'll be excelling again. All right. And like I said, encouragement goes a long way. I can be negative. I can be pessimist. I can be, I can be hard when things don't go the way that I want them to be. I can be selfish. Encouragement goes a very long way. When we get even I get a negative comment, of a person that's a hassle to do support with, it kind of takes me 20 people to balance that out. So think of Elegant Themes. If we're all just pounding them down, maybe they will give up. Maybe they'll just let the boat sink and go out on life rafts. They need encouragement, but don't bother them. But just, think of how you respond to comments in Facebook groups, how you respond to the blog posts, and just in your chat with support and just different things. Are you guys excited? Give me a thumbs up. Just asking for a thumbs up, but give me a thumbs up if you're excited. Leave me a comment. I'm going to reply to as many comments as I can. I easily missed. In fact, I know there's some things I didn't tell you. There's some things I can't tell you. It wouldn't be right for me to tell you anymore. What I've shared is public. The things that I know that I'm not telling you are even better. So, take my word for it. Stick around. Let's take this journey together. Tell me what I can do to help you. It's going to take a lot of work. Think about it. My courses are going to be outdated. My products are going to need updated. My tutorials may become obsolete, one by one. Bear with us. Every third party is going to deal with this. Elegant Themes is going to deal with it. It's a transition period for us all. But it is extremely exciting. I am very excited. That's it. Take care, guys. We're going to see you all in the next video. I do a video every single week. It's usually a tutorial. I usually don't talk for an hour. Seriously. So come back if you like Divi related information and tutorials. All right. Take care, everyone.